name's Nikki and welcome to my Flosstube. This is number 3. Hopefully you've experienced the fanciness of my third video. My 13-year-old son has taken on the task of being my editor, so he's doing a great job. I'm quite amazed at how young kids can do these technologically fancy things, so well done, Blake. Loving it. Thank you so much to everybody who's commented on my videos and sent me messages and shouted me out on their own Flosstube videos. I'm blown away. It's really fun, fabulously fun. I've got over 1,000 subscribers, guys. That's just amazing. My kids think I'm a YouTube sensation. It's just so unexpected, but I'm really thrilled that everybody's enjoying the projects I have to show, and that you can tolerate my Australian accent, because I know it's pretty horrible. I've watched myself, as I've said. It's not good. Anyway, it is what it is. I'm an Aussie and I can't help it, so if you don't want to watch, don't watch. All good. So yes, thank you to those that shouted me out, particularly Nicole from Nicole's Needlework. How amazing that my Stitchy idol enjoys my videos. It's incredible. And Ellen from Maximum Cross Stitch Power Hour also shouted me out, which is fantastic. She didn't have any lipstick on her teeth at the time, but she did say hilariously that she thinks I have a very soothing voice. I nearly spat my coffee out when I was watching her, because I just, no, sorry Ellen. My family would completely disagree, but I guess that's what happens when the only time they hear me speak is when I'm yelling at them. Anyway, it's all good fun. It's all great fun. So I'm loving it. The biggest reason I started a Flosstube channel was to connect with other stitchers out there, and it certainly allowed me to do that. I just love it. I haven't gone through and written a reply to everybody's comments yet. I'm getting through them. Just every time I have a look on, have a little sticky beak on my phone, which my husband thinks I'm obsessed about. Oh, you're obsessed with this Flosstube business. Oh, he's funny. Every time I have a look, there's more subscriptions and there's more comments. So it's fantastic. I really love it. Keep it coming. If you're keen to write a comment, I'm keen to reply and engage in a conversation. It's fantastic. I love it. Okay, so from my last couple of videos, there's been a few comments about the quilt that I had sitting behind me, and a lot of people actually guessed who the pattern designer is, and it's a Cinderberries quilt, and oh my goodness, you ought to see the cat hair on this. But it's a Cinderberries quilt, and it's one that's got all these fun little embroideries on it. So I did this a few years ago now, but what does this one say? Sweet flowers for your garden. So it's all these fun little things. I'll show you the next. I'll just show you a couple, because I know not everybody's quilters, but since I did get a few comments, I thought I'd show you. And that's a cute one with the babies in the little pram. And what does that say? I can't read backwards. Angels to watch over. You see the little babies in there? They are so cute. Look. So that's cute. And that's a really pretty quilt. Really pretty. I'll actually get Blake to insert a picture of it here. So I hope you enjoy seeing that. Anyway, I'll just plop that down there. Okay, on to stitchiness. I'm going to bring in a special guest in a moment. My other son, Liam, who is 11, has been begging me to bring him in and do a segment on Flosstube. So I hope you can humour me and enjoy seeing Liam. I'm going to ask him a few questions in an effort to get him to speak. And I hope you enjoy what he's going to show. All right, I'll just pause and I'll be back in a moment. Hi Flosstube, I'm back. So I'd like to introduce you to Niam.
Hi.
Niam, how old are you?
11.
You're 11. And what year are you in at school?
Year 6.
Year 6. So last year of primary school. So Niam would like to show everybody today what he made during our COVID shutdown last year. So Niam, would you like to show everybody what you made?
Okay. I made this here.
So this, Niam used a sewing machine for the first time last year, and he made himself this bag. It was originally, I think our original intention was that you'd make it for your iPad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what that was for. And you can see all the fun fabrics on this. It's got little dogs on it. And this was just some leftover jelly roll strips that I had from a quilt that I'd made previously. So we made it together, didn't we?
Yep.
It was a bit of a team effort. We put a zipper in, and we fully lined it, and then we did a binding around it. So that was that. He did a great job. He did all of the quilting himself on the sewing machine on Tina the Bonina. And that was that. Now, Niam, who is your favourite Flosstuber? Other than me, of course.
Ellen cross-stitch... Wait.
Maximum cross-stitch power.
Maximum cross-stitch power hour.
And why is Ellen your favourite?
It's simple. Dutch boobies and diarrhea dog.
Dutch boobies and diarrhea dog. So there you go, Ellen. You're appealing to an 11-year-old boy with your humour.
Yep.
It's pretty fun, isn't it? Every time we see Dutch boobies and diarrhea dog, we all chuckle. Okay, the last thing that Niam's going to show you is his favourite piece of cross-stitch that I've stitched over the years. So Niam, would you like to show that? I haven't shown this before. This is one I did a long time ago. And we'll move it a little bit so we don't get so much glare. We've got the swimming pool reflecting today. So this is it. It's cows. 2 cows. And as I said, I did it a long time ago. It's got a great big mat in there and a frame. The frame's quite cool. I like the frame. But there's the cows. And Niam, that's your favourite, isn't it?
Mhm.
That's pretty good. All right. Well, thanks for joining me on Flosstube.
Mhm.
All right. Say bye to the people.
Bye.
Oh, there's the cat. I think Niam would like to show you Frosty.
Ah.
Can you climb over there? Ah.
Ski.
Amateur hour. Oh, here he comes. So this is why we've got white hair on everything in our house. That's Frosty. All right, say bye.
Bye.
Okay, I'm back. Now for the serious component of the program. Old finishes. You saw my cows. It's quite funny. Niam likes that one because it hangs in the loo. So when he's at the loo, he sees the cows. So when I asked him what his favourite piece was, that was the first one that came to mind, and why wouldn't it? Okay, so I have had I'll show you a framing finish, my most recent framing finish. I stitched this beautiful Blackbird chart. I finished it probably a bit before Christmas. And of course it's got all of the beautiful reds and pinks in it that I love. Oh, and that's out of the Ooh La La book. And this is a book that I just want to stitch everything in it. I've actually stitched this one. Have I shown you that one? Maybe I showed you that one. The Ooh La La. And this is how I framed it. It's actually, I would never have thought that I would choose an elaborate frame like this one. But I did, and I really like it. I'm going to sneeze. Celeste, I'm channeling you this morning. Anyway, so back to the frame. It's a gold tizzy frame, but I really like it with this piece. I think it suits it, and I'm really happy with it. I stitched this on a 36 count Americana froth by Dames of the Needle. and it's a really pretty fabric. It's got a real sort of yellow tinge to it with a pink overtone. So I really like it. There's a little bit, it's hard to see this stitching here. I think that was perfect pie crust. It blended a bit too much for my preference, but you know, it is what it is. So that's my framed finish. And the weather's really weird here today. It's been a really gloomy start to the day. It's been rainy and cloudy and very windy, but now the sun's shining, so it's all bright. And I hear everybody in the US is going through a really major cold snap at the moment. Lots of icy roads and snow and all that. It's been a really weird summer here. Very mild summer. Normally we have, you know, weeks at a time in the, you know, mid to high 30 degrees sort of range. Even goes up to above 40 for a few days, but we've had none of that this year, so it's been quite strange. Quite enjoyable, really, to have a cool summer. Okay, so they're that's my most recent framed piece. I've also had some other finishes. I'm a bit out of sorts here from Niam's visit, but anyway. This one is the Songbirds Whistles piece out of the Sewing Club book. Everybody knows this one, that book. So I did just the stitching for this one. This was a club piece from the Cruel Goblin, the Sewing Club. So that's that little one, and that's it. So that only took me a few days to do that. Really very subdued colours, browns and greys. And now my cat is scratching on the door. Lucky we're getting fancy and Blake can edit. One of those days. Okay, so that was Songbird Whistles. Another finish. I've had a finish, a good finish. Oh Joyous Day. I finished this one. I just love this one. It's so pretty. There's the Red Pear House. And I did this one for my mum and dad's 50th wedding anniversary, which was a couple of years ago. Sorry, Mum, Dad. Bit late. Better late than never. So I did Oh Joyous Day and my mum and dad's initials there, and the 4th of October, which was the day they got married, and 1969 down here. So that's that one. The other, I made some changes. This border here, the zigzaggy border, was supposed to be in a satin stitch. I did a satin stitch to start with, a little piece of the satin, and I didn't enjoy doing it, so I thought, I'll just do cross stitch. So I did that. So there's 4 bands of zigzag, bottom, top, 2 across the centre, one there in Mountain Mist, that's a pretty colour, and another one there. So that's that one. So I stitched that one on a 40 count Legacy by Picture This Plus. The chart called for a 36 count, but I did it on a 40. So very pretty, and I'm happy with that. I'll get it framed now and pass it on to Mum and Dad. I've got another finish. I finished this one a while ago, a few months ago, and I thought I'd show you because there's a few people stitching this. Nicole from Nicole's Needlework has just started this. I think she started on a 32 count. But I wanted to show this because I did it on a 40 count platinum linen from Zweigart, and I did it 1 thread over 2. So the chart calls for a blending of 2 threads. So you take, you know, one strand of one colour and another strand of a different colour, and you blend it, and it gives you some variegation or some variability. But because I did it on a 40 count 1 over 1, I didn't do that, obviously. I just chose the colour that was different to all of the other colours. I know that's not explaining it very well, but in Select there's a number of blended threads to match the symbols in the chart, but I just selected the colours to make sure that they were all as different as possible. That really doesn't explain it well. But that was the result. It's got the cow in it. And the only other change I made was in the lettering. I did darken that up a little bit. It's a called for colour in the chart somewhere else, probably in those flowers or somewhere. And I just used that so that they would show up on my linen. Because when I stitched the called for symbol, the called for thread, it just didn't show up. So I wanted it to show up on this one. So that's what I did. So it's a really cute one. I love the cow. I know a lot of people don't like cows, but I like animals, and yeah, I love that one. And so that came out of the Sampler and Antique Needlework magazine. I can't tell you what edition it came out of or anything. I forget. Okay. What else have we got in my little boxes over here? Some whips. I've been all over the place the last few weeks. I can't really make up my mind what I want to stitch. So I've just been dabbling in a few of, my various projects that I've got laying around the place. And I've seen on Instagram a number of people are doing, they're still working on their Christmas ornaments. They want to do one ornament a month. So I've got quite a few Christmas projects that I started last Christmas that I haven't finished. And so I thought I'd get one of the smaller ones out and have a go at doing that. So this is one that I'm working on, and this is called Christmas. I think I've got the chart here. I've got it in a little bag that I made using Celeste Creates tutorial. She made a tutorial before Christmas last year, and this was one of it. And this is some really cute fabric Christmas fabric that I found, and it's got little bilbies on it. Little cute Australian bilbies. So I thought that was really cute. Oh, and some native flowers as well. And Christmas trees. And then I do knit the occasional sock. And I thought this would be a dual purpose bag. I put a little handle on it, and I can use it for socks if I'm knitting a sock or whatever. Carry it around. But at the moment it's got Christmas in it. And I'll show you a copy of the front. So that's what Chris looks like. I thought it was really fun. Christmas. And as you can see, it's a little moose with some bunnies. And he's got some cardinals. Not that we get cardinals in Australia, but that's him. So that's where I've gotten to on him, and I'm using a 32 count petty point linen and 4 Australian stitches. I bought this from Nicola at number 12 Stitch Co. She's on Etsy, and now that we're so fancy, I will put some information in the description box. So you'll be able to, I'll put links to the Etsy shops that I refer to, and a few other little bits and pieces. As I get better at doing that, I'll put more information on there. But Nicola had this petty point, and she's the only place I've seen it in Australia so far. But as you know, I don't have a local needlework shop to actually go and physically look at, so I rely on what I can find online. So Nicola's got this. So he's cute in the little bunnies. And that's another bigger bunny here. So that's that one. I've been working on the German sampler, the sampler from Saxony. That's this one. And I'm really thrilled. I've enabled quite a few of you to go and buy this one, which is so much fun. I'd love to see others progress on this one. So it's a big, as I said, it's a big one, and I'm just still working on these little bands down here. So this is where I've gotten to. I've put in the scaffolding, I call it the scaffolding, just the lines in the piece. And just so my counting is accurate, I sort of just start and do some of these little motifs in here, just so I can make sure that my counting is correct, because I really want to get up to some of the little scenes in here, so I can do some fill-in stitches rather than all this counting stuff, but it's fun. So that's it so far. Isn't this great, this little one here, this little border here? That's just so great. And the little love hearts right down the bottom. So those bottom 2 rows are complete, but the 3rd one and up is obviously not. And the little crowns are fun too. I think I've almost got a new favourite colour, and that's this bluey colour here. This is called Banker's Grey. It's a gentle arts thread. I really like it. It's like a blue grey. It's a really nice colour. And I got the Z in there. So that's the row of the first alphabet, I think. Well, there might be one here. There's another Z there. Anyway, so that's Sampler from Saxony. And next one, I did do a little bit more on Ragamuffin 2, this beauty. I'm really enjoying that one. Excuse me for reaching. And so you can see I've started to do the alphabet. And as I said, I'm doing this in the Called For Silk. And I've done some more of the white. Can you see the bird? Just here. And that's on a 40 count platinum linen. This is one that I haven't shown before, and this is in another little bag I made myself. Just that one. That's a cute size, this one, for that size chart. And I just sort of made up the pattern for these. I watched a few bag making sort of tutorials on YouTube, and then I couldn't sort of figure out one particular tutorial that I liked best, so I probably combined all of them, and because I'm a quilter, I sort of have an idea on how to do certain things, so I just bunged that one together. Whoop, showing the chart. Sorry, YouTube police. Anyway, moving right along. This is Fracta Flowers from La-Di-Da, and I've had this one going for a while. I don't really like the chart. It's too small. Sorry, La-Di-Da. It's not an easy one to look at. But anyway, despite that, I'm enjoying doing this stitching. And I'm using, this is a 40 count with a jingle, just a piece that I had left over from another cross stitch I did. And it's using primarily DMC threads, and it's got one gentle arts thread in it, and it's called Bayberry, which is that greeny colour in here. That green is Bayberry. and I'm just doing a bayberry line across here too. I've made a mistake, but oh well. And you can see in here how I count up my borders, but this is only a technique that I use in non-overdyed thread. So because I'm using DMC and it's all very consistent along its length, I do a half stitch up to a count of 10, and on the 10th stitch I do a full cross, and then another 10, another full cross, another 10 half stitches. So that means that I can count all the way up, and then once I'm at the very top I can either go across or I can just come back down and cross all of those halves, and I know then where I'm up to up here. But I don't do that with overdyed threads because I prefer, when I stitch overdyed threads, I prefer to cross them as I go. That's that one. So that's just the little urn. So that's quite fun, I guess, when it's all just the fill in. You know, you can do the edges first, and then it's just like colouring in. Okay, I'm back. One of those days. Next whip. This is, I don't think I've shown you this one either. This is the Scarlet House chart, and it's called Mary Miller 1842. Brenda from Brenda and the Serial Starter. Brenda always talks about how fabulous Tanya's charts are, and I absolutely agree. They are just fantastic. They're so easy to read. They're nice and big, but very clear. So I'm really enjoying stitching on this piece. I also like the colours. I just love colour, I guess. Bit of a weird statement to make, isn't it? But and this one's got a cool yellow in it. It's a, I think it's have I got the colours here? Yeah. It's this Ohio Lemon Pie, which I've never used this colour in anything else before, so that's pretty fun. So that's that one, and I'm just finishing off the roof on the little house. So that's a cute little house. I did all the border first on this one, and then I did the scaffolding again, and then it just means I've just got to go and do all the little motifs and the alphabets. And I don't actually think this one will take, I know that looks like there's a lot of stitching left to do, but now that I've got the lines and the borders and things in, I think it's not going to be a lot of hard work to get that finished. In saying that, it'll be another few months probably before I finish it, because I've got so many whips on the go. Once upon a time I'd like to have, you know, 2 or 3 whips. Now I've got about 12. I think I've got 12 whips, which I guess is still not that many, but anyway. What's in this bag? This is another bag that I made using Celeste's tutorial, and rather than just using a single piece of fabric on the front, I just decided to use a coordinating print and just a bit of lace that I had in my stash, and that's the back. And it's got pussy cats on it and cat hair, like everything in my house. What's in here? Oh, this is not a whip, because now we are into plans. Now that I've finished Oh Joyous Day, sorry guys, crazy. Now that I've finished Oh Joyous Day, I've decided I'd like to start another Blackbird. Now I do already have a few Blackbirds started, but you know, any excuse, right? So this one is called We Live in Hope. I haven't seen too many people stitch this one, but I like this. And again, it goes back to my my history loving nerdiness. I'm going to stitch this one, and on it it says "We live in hope." Chesapeake Bay, which I believe is in the US. But what I think I might do is change this to reflect one of my ancestors who came from Ireland on it was on the 3rd fleet. I think a lot of Australians will know, obviously, Australian European settlement history. In 1788, the first fleet arrived in Australia, which was a fleet of ships from England with the first settlers in it, first European settlers. And my ancestor, Timothy Horton, who came from Ireland, he was a convict. He was I believe he was a convict because of seditious practices. So he was in Ireland and he was rebelling against English rule and the monarchy in the 1790s. So he was arrested and imprisoned for life. And at that time, Australia was seen as a great jail, I guess you'd call it, a penal settlement, because it was seen as, you know, very harsh conditions, inescapable. It's an island nation, couldn't get back to England or Ireland or anywhere like that in a hurry. So there were quite a few penal settlements, and he was transported to Tasmania, or Van Diemen's Land as it was at the time. And so I thought I would incorporate Timothy Horton's name on here. It's got the ship, so he obviously travelled from Ireland via England to Tasmania on a ship, convict ship in the 3rd Fleet. And that was in 1799, I think. So very early in the European settlement of Australia. Anyway, so I really like this chart. Again, it's Blackbird, so it's all the great Blackbird colours. And I have got just a piece of, I've cut this to size already. This is a piece of Zweigart Summer Khaki. Not very exciting to show you. And I haven't even pulled the thread yet. I know I've got the threads because I kitted it up a few months ago, but decided on some other squirrel that I wanted to start. I've also, I should have taken these out of the packet, guys, sorry. I've got, this is an ink circles chart that I'm thinking I might start soonish. And this is called Croakworth, and I like this one because I like frogs. And it's got a couple of cute little frogs on there catching flies. And I just like that one. I like the Quakers, and it's long and narrow, so we don't have very much wall space in our house because we've got these great big windows everywhere. So it'll be good to do some little pieces that are quite narrow and they'll fit in between walls and windows and that sort of thing. So I've got a piece of this is just a leftover piece of cafe au lait. And I've chosen my own threads to do it in. So I've chosen Classic Colourworks Trail Dust and this cool colour, which is a Weeks Basil. As I've said before, purple's not my favourite colour, but I like this one. It's sort of got browns and purples in it. It's quite cool. And then this thread, which is an Australian dyed thread called, what is it called? Cottage Garden Threads, and that's in Oregano. So I think I'll do that Croakworth in those 3 colours. So that's Croakworth. Other plans, I got this the other day. I saw this one on Insta. Messages popping up. Harrietta. So she's very cute. And that's with our needle and thread. And again, I've just chosen, I think this is Summer Khaki as well. And these are just some of the threads for it. Now I have a bone to pick with some designers, and that is designers that don't list an alternative DMC thread. Like, I know some of these with our needle and thread charts that some of the called for colours, there's only like 1, 2 or 3 stitches in the overdyed thread colours. Now in Australia, these cost between $4.50 and $5 each. So when you're calling for an overdyed thread with no alternative, it sort of gets a bit exy. So if there are any I doubt that there would be, but if there are any designers watching my channel, thank you to those that list DMC alternatives. And if you don't, even if you just list them for those threads that have very few stitches in your chart, we'd really appreciate it. I would really appreciate it, because it does add up. So aren't they cute colours? Pretty, that little pink. Okay, get off my high horse. I was also, a friend of mine, Annette, gifted me a chart and some fabric actually. She gifted me this cute GGR chart, and it's written in French, but I think it just means young girl in red. Petite fille en rouge. Young girl in red. So I really like that one. And the fabric she gifted me is perfect for it. And it's this. And this is from Nicola at number 12 Stitch Co. This one. And this is called Sepia. And this is just a perfect linen. Oops. Perfect linen for this chart. So that's something else that I'd like to start sooner rather than later. And I do have the threads for it. So isn't that a pretty colour? What's that one? Red Rocks from Weeks. So they're the colours. So that's one I'd like to start. Okay, I'm back. I had a little tidy up because it was getting a bit ridiculous. I discovered I forgot to show one of my fully finished objects for today, and that is I finished this little drum. It's a Blackbird Drum out of the Sewing Club book. It's called In My Garden. That's the book it's in. And I finished this last weekend, this little one. And that's it. So I stitched it on the called for 28 count, what do they call it, gingham linen. 2/2 using all of the called for threads. It's a bit lumpy bumpy, but it's okay. So that's that. In My Garden. Another little pink house. And this was another Quill Goblin club piece, and as part of the club kit they included a little reflet de soie button with our initials on it. So everybody in the club, obviously my name's Nikki, initials is N, and they gave us a little matching button. So I've just attached that using a little light bulb pin that I had. I think I got that off some clothing I bought actually, you know, the label's attached, and I just saved that. So that's that one. I was happy with that. Good. Okay, now all I've got left to show is haul. My pants are on fire because I am a big fat liar. A couple of videos ago I said I'm going to stitch from stash. No, I haven't. I ordered some threads to kit some projects up, and I thought, threads can't travel alone, I need to buy a chart. And after that, out the window. So I did buy, in addition to charts and floss, bought the cutest little scissors. Look at those. These are Kelmscott scissors, little bird. They are tiny. So that's my hand and there's the scissors. They are so cute. They're a little bit hard to use, but you know, cute though. Very cute. And I couldn't just buy one. So I bought these ones as well. These are got a nice pattern on the little handles. And then they were also selling some scissor charms. So being summer in Australia, it's suitable to get a snowman, huh? But I did just think he was very cute. Little glass beads and a little snowflake. So I've just got those attached to my little scissors. I bought those items from Stitch What on Etsy. And again, I will put all of the links to the Etsy shops in the description box. I've always wanted to do that, in the description box below, so you'll find it down there. And the other thing I did buy from that shop was this book, which is the Bonnie and Camille Quilt Bee book. Now, not only does it have fun patterns for quilts in there, it's also got a cross-stitch chart. I won't show you. I think I've flicked past it. Here. Now, it's very bright colours, but that's a cross-stitch. So I think that's pretty fun. I don't think I'll do it in a hurry, but that's that book. So Stitch What on Etsy. It's an Australian seller. The next thing I did buy, Kathy Barrick, Queen Kathy. She had a sale on her charts in her Etsy store, her PDF charts. So I went ahead and I got a couple that I've had my eye on for a while. And one is this little cute Quaker house. Is that what it's called? Miniature Quaker sampler. So it's got this little house on it. And I think that's quite cute. It's only little, but perfect for using up little scrap pieces of linen, and also good for filling holes on walls with framed pieces. So I got that one. And then this one, this again is unlike anything that I thought I would ever really like, but there's just something about Grace, I think her name's Grace, yep, Grace, that I really like. It's got that really pretty navy blue in it, a dark blue. I like the border, I like the house. It's not huge, it's 95 stitches wide by 109 high. Surprising the amount of stitching in that, I guess, though. Another future start for me. I also bought, and this will interest my Australian viewers. It sounds so weird to say that. I have bought a few things from another Etsy seller, and it's called Jay's X Stitch or Jay's Cross Stitch. I do have Jay's little card here, and again I'll put her details in the description box. But Jay does, she sells primarily silk thread and some hand-dyed linens. So I went ahead and I bought some stuff, and I'll show you the linen first. This is a linen that is called Spun Sugar. Now this is a beautiful piece of 40 count hand-dyed linen, and it's like it's just been kissed by the dye. And Jay uses all natural dyes, and this is on Etsy. It says it's a pink, got a pink sort of tint to it, and it does look that way in the camera, but in real life it's just a really beautiful pale linen. It's a white with just a really beautiful hue to it. I really love it. And that's quite a big piece, so I'm looking forward to stitching something on that. I actually thought that I've got a couple of reflet de soie patterns, the French patterns, and one of them I've got in mind to stitch on that. So if I start that, I'll show you it and see what it turns out like. The other piece that I bought was this one, which is called Iced Chocolate. And again, it's just a really beautiful, suitable fabric for samplers, I think. It's just got a really lovely mottling to it. Really beautiful. Now the other thing I bought from Jay was some silk. And this is it. It's going to be hard to pick up. I love red, and I really love deep red. And so this is a Gloriana silk in Rosewood. I just bought that because I thought it looks quite nice on that. But I bought that to do some red samplers. Always got to have a red sampler on the go, which I don't at the moment. This afternoon I might have to start one. So that's that. So that's Jay's X Stitch for my Aussie compatriots. What else have I bought? As I said, I bought a lot of thread. I was kitting some things up. So while I was kitting some things up, the shop that I bought them from was selling this. And it is a Needlework press chart, a present for my sister. I'm going to take it out of the packet because it's a bit glary. So that's it. But when I got the chart and I had a look at it, it's mainly done 1/1, which is not my jam. It's not my favourite thing to do at all. But it's really nice. It's really pretty. There was another. I'm starting to get in the mood to stitch some bunnies. As you saw, I'd like to start Harrietta bunny with our needle and thread. And I had this one in my Etsy favourites for a while. And this is called Easter Sampler by the Humble Stitcher. And this was a little PDF chart that I downloaded. And I just think that's really sweet. I love bunnies. So I have actually made a teeny tiny start on just a piece of scrap linen. And I just pulled, I think it calls for DMC thread. Yep, DMC. And I actually didn't have any of the 3 DMCs that it called for. So I thought, that's okay, I'll just pull my own. So in case anyone likes what I'm showing, they're all weeks. The grey is Blackbird. Whoops, dropped the linen. The brown is Driftwood. And the red, or pinky red, is Aztec red. And I just thought it was a really nice pink, dark pink. Because the chart actually does show the alphabets in pink. And so I just thought I'd do a darker, reddy pink. So that's going to be fun. I don't think that will take long at all. But when you've got 4,000 things on the go, it might take longer than I expect. I always watch Michelle from Mama Loves You GB. And she recently completed a sampler with a zebra on it. And I thought that was very cool. Very cool. Anyway, I haven't gone ahead and purchased that particular chart yet, but I was looking on the Cool Goblins website the other day, and I was looking at the exemplaires little section, and I found this one. And this is called Isabella Cook 1836, and it's got another zebra on it. Isn't that cute? What a funky zebra. So this one calls for Oversoir silks, but I'm thinking I might do my own conversion because the pinks are a little bit too lolly pink for me. The little face here, boy oh boy, that's sunburn. And these pinks, and the blues are a little bit bright. The So I'll tone it down and I'll mix it up a bit. I think I quite like it's sort of like a goldy brown colour. I don't mind that, but it's just those pinks and blues that I'll probably switch out. So that's that fun one. So that came from the Cool Goblin, as you saw. That's the exemplar. Now, lastly, this one is haul, but it's also a whip because I couldn't resist starting. And it's all wrapped up in one of my little bags. And this is a chart from Whilst Iris Snaps. And I was checking out her website the other day and I fell in love with this one, which is Emily Harbin 1824. Now it's got a really cool border. It's not floral, it's squares. These cool little 5x5 stitched yellowy coloured squares. What's not to love when you've got crowns in a sampler? And it also says, whatever you dislike in another person, take care to correct in yourself. So don't be a bloody hypocrite. That's what it's saying. So I just thought, yep, I really want to stitch that. So I decided to make a start. And I'm using Nicola's number 12 Stitch Co. Rain Cloud Linen. This is a 40 count. And I've made a little start. But again, because this was a squirrel start, I didn't have either of the called for threads. So I just went into my fairly limited stash and pulled out a couple of silks. The green is a Forest from Gloriana, and it's a really pretty green. It's quite variegated. It's got green, quite a number of greeny colours in it, and some browns, sort of tending toward olive green. So that's for the green, the main stitching. And then I think the chart calls for a DMC 3045, and I thought this was quite similar to it. And this is a Water Lilies silk in old gold. And these actually came from Jay's X Stitch as well on Etsy. So those are the two colours I'm using on Nicola's Rain Cloud, number 12 Stitch Co. So I'm really happy with that. So that's another start. Alright guys, well, it's been a long one and it's been a piecemeal one. I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen. I'm not sure when I'll be back. Just when I've got something to show you, I'll come back and hop on and have a chat. I look forward to seeing more comments, and if you've got any questions, please yell out. I'm always happy to chat. And until next time, take care, stay well, stay happy, and happy stitching. Bye everyone.